The Phantom Menace turns 25 this year, so I thought I would cover this movie too, as the title suggests, remind you on the merchandise invasion George Lucas had upon the world when releasing this glorious movie. Star Wars, The Phantom Menace. I grew up on the prequel trilogy, probably like a lot of you, and they hold a special place in my heart, especially this movie, The Phantom Menace. It was the first piece of Star Wars media I was ever exposed to as a wee little child, and I can confidently say that this Star Wars movie is literally the best Star Wars movie to date.
Oh, you disagree with me? Open the window and let some of that wrong out. Ooh.
I had a couple of figures from this movie. I had a little Qui-Gon Jinn and an R2-D2 that I adored. I would rewatch the VHS copy we had nearly every weekend. There was something about the pod racing scene that just simply hit different. What? I honestly think everything about this movie was amazing. Well, not everything of course, but just about everything. The sound design was jaw-dropping. The costume design was flawless. The casting was perfect. And John Williams decided to drop the steeziest track known to the human race with the works of Duel of the Fates. They also want to make every character a bloody sex icon. Zooey mama! See, everything about this movie was molto bene, mi piace formaggio. But today's video isn't me just gushing over why I absolutely adore this movie so much. It's about how they made a shit ton of merch, and I mean a lot. Now, I think old grandpa may have gone a little bit cray-cray with the whole merch side of things for this movie. I genuinely think my man was high off Metamucil at the time, because what George did for merchandise for this movie simply seemed like a worldwide invasion. But before we go venturing into the Phantom Menace merch, we got to go back in time, back to a time when the original Star Wars was just about to be released. Back to a time where I like to call the merchandise origin story.
At the time, back in 1977, George was trying his hardest to try and find a company to produce a toy line for his new film, Star Wars. Literally, no company had any faith in Star Wars, and George was getting rejected left, right, and centre. These days, any company would jump on the opportunity to work with this multi-billion-dollar franchise. But back in those days, Sonny Jim, Star Wars was known as that weird neighbourhood kid that your mum made you play with. As George struggled to find a company to work with him, the release date for the movie steadily closed in. Fortunately, there was finally a company that struck a deal with George. A small company that actually believed in his upcoming film. Kenner enters the chat. They had one job: to make a line of action figures based on the first film. The deal was, for every dollar made from these figures, Kenner would retain 95%, Century Fox would retain 2.5%, and George would retain the remaining 2.5% as well. This was obviously a horrible deal, but George's hands were tied. Since finding a deal for these toys took so long, Kenner learned that they only had 1 month to produce a full line of toy figures for the first Star Wars movie. So in time for Christmas, the only things that hit shelf that had the Star Wars name was Kenner's infamous early bird certificate package, which is literally just a box with an attached promise of figures. How riveting! George forever hated how he went about the original release for the figures, and he always despised the deal with Kenner. Now after that info dump, let's teleport ourselves back to the late 90s. Just as the new movies was just a thought in George's mind, Kenner actually lost the rights to produce Star Wars figures after failing to meet contractual agreements. George didn't want a repeat of the horrible merch rollout that he had for the original Star Wars movie. He had a gut feeling that his new Star Wars movie he was thinking of was going to be the new knees on the bees. So my man devised a plan, an invasion if you would, a plan to flood the world with Star Wars merch. And this time, do it right. He joined forces with Hasbro. Thank you, forces, blah, 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 blah. Signing a deal for them to produce the new line of action figures for the upcoming Star Wars film. This saw George settling for a brand new deal of retaining 18% of every dollar instead of the previous 2.5% of every dollar. This deal wasn't private either, which means other companies had the opportunity to either advertise or make their own Star Wars merch. There were 73 brands and companies that produce Star Wars merch. That is 73. So yeah, they all had a field day creating merch. Why wouldn't they? Star Wars granted Toys R Us a great deal that allowed them to do a midnight release for the new wave of figures they had. This saw people line up for miles wanting to panic buy the new Star Wars toys. There was a ridiculous amount of hype behind it. They even interviewed a couple of these people. There is an instance with one of these interviews where you actually see someone get the ick.
Go. I'm mainly looking for the figures. So I don't. I think there'll be plenty of those to go around.
Right there. She's got the ick. She has the ick, I'm telling you. Can we get an ick review, please? Ick review, thank you. You can literally see she's evaluating her whole life choice right in this moment. She has got the ick. Ick confirmed. There is even this guy that's throwing out this Star Wars philosophy.
I'd say because it's based on mythology. You're talking about a story that has heroes and villains, and it's not just science fiction, it's about people.
What are you talking about? And why did you bring your partner, who clearly doesn't want to be there, and a newborn child to a midnight toy release for Star Wars? That's what I want to know, bucko. There were 38 figures that dropped for this movie. And of course we've got our staples like Darth Maul, Boss Nass. And we also had Rick Oley with helmet and blaster. But I'm not interested in those figures. Ew. I'm after the 3 different variants of Anakin Skywalker, thank you very much. I'm talking Anakin Skywalker Naboo. I'm talking Anakin Skywalker Naboo Pilot. And I'm talking Anakin Skywalker Tatooine with backpack and grease gun. Can't wait to roleplay as a slave orphan child with a grease gun. All these figures came with a Comtech chip. And with the Comtech reader, sold separately, you can make all these figures talk and chat with each other. They also released the cinema scenes, which saw packs such as Mos Espa Encounter, the Tatooine Showdown, and my personal favourite, Watto's Box, which comes with Watto, Grox Kelvin, and Shaka. Wah! We also got the amazing final lightsaber duel with the Darth Maul vs Obi-Wan with the ability to murder and slice the Paul Morley in half. We also got the creature sets that saw me countlessly circle the Jabba the Hutt with 2-headed announcer set in the Toys R Us catalogue because I couldn't stop craving the spitting action and the real feel skin. Do you moisturise? We were also lucky enough to be graced with Opie and Qui-Gon. Yes, it's just a large fish. As well as Farmbar and a Gungan warrior. Yes, it's just a dinosaur. And Eopie with Qui-Gon. Yes, more gin, thank you. I think I forgot to mention the Ammo Wagon Falam Past with additional Gungan catapult accessory set with super bright lights, sold separately. Say no more, here is my credit card. We also had vehicle sets too. The iconic Naboo Royal Starship, the Naboo Fighter, STAP and Battle Droid, Trade Federation Droid Fighters, a Trade Federation tank, also a Flash Speeder which features a Qui-Gon Jinn going through an existential crisis. We saw Anakin's pod racer and Sabula's pod racer, so you could wad in the comfort of your own home. We also had sick play sets, like the Theed Generator Complex and the Theed Hangar playset. You can also get an R2-D2 carry case that can hold up to 20 figures against their will. We also had a range of electronic dolls as well, which featured Qui-Gon and Darth Maul both looking like they're shitting themselves. And also a fully pissed off Jar Jar Binks that is ready to kill. There were electric lightsabers to whack your siblings with. There were also a Jedi gear set. Included was a Padawan earpiece that allowed you to live your dreams of having a plastic rat's tail. If you didn't like the plastic rat's tail, you can always opt in for the Obi-Wan Kenobi braided hair. There was also a full Queen Amidala collection that targeted all the young ladies out there, which featured 4 dolls based for play and another 4 high-end dolls that were released for collectability. YSL randomly dropped a makeup collection based on the Queen Amidala looks from the film, which featured 4 themes: 1 will, 1 dream, 1 truth, and 1 destiny. You can brush your teeth with the official toothbrush and toothpaste, while giving yourself a clean while Anakin watches with the official galactic shampoo. Big company Lego wanted to dabble their feet into the market as well, soon releasing a wave of Phantom Menace sets, which featured Lightsaber Duel, a droid fighter, a Naboo Swamp, Anakin's pod racer, Naboo fighter, the Sith infiltrator, the Gungan sub, and the Mos Espa pod race. There was a book written on the movie, written by Terry Brooks. Everybody stayed calm because there was 4 different variants of this cover released for the book. An audiobook released on compact disc, as well as a limited edition 8 CD box set of the audiobook, with also a cassette version being released too. There was also a kid book based on the original book, based on the original movie. A 4-part comic book series as well that came with a numerous amount of variant covers. We were also blessed to get the art of Episode 1, the making of Episode 1, the illustrated screenplay of Episode 1, Episode 1 What's What and Who's Who, Episode 1 scrapbook, the Episode 1 storybook, the visual dictionary of Episode 1, incredible cross-sections of Episode 1, and the complete guide to the incredible locations of Episode 1. We even saw a variant amount of calendars as well. We had the Episode 1 engagement calendar, the Obi-Wan calendar, Darth Maul calendar, and a Pepsi branded Star Wars calendar for all your calendar needs. Jake Lloyd also reprised his role as Anakin Skywalker for the 2 brand new Star Wars games that were coming out the same year. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer for the N64, which was based on the pod racing scene. Any of my fellow Woodwooders out there? Wood. We also had the PlayStation exclusive, which was based solely on the movie, which looks like everyone who designed this game was high off the devil's lettuce. Because wow, there was an official album released on CD containing all Johnny Willier's hot tracks, with one of the tracks actually spoiling the ending of the film, with the track Qui-Gon's Noble End.
Who is Noble and why is he dead? Then you got the food as well. We have Cadbury's chocolate bars, Cadbury's fingers, Cadbury's biscuits, Cadbury's treat tube thingies. Cadbury also did an advent calendar that was 3-dimensional. We also had a Jar Jar Binks Pez handler, a Jar Jar Binks tongue lollipop that you had to make out with the guy if you wanted any, you dirty nonce. We had fruit snacks, mini M&M's R2-D2 that actually dispenses candy. What? We had Doritos and Lay's changing all of their packaging to feature the Star Wars characters on them. KFC and Pizza Hut releasing exclusive packaging for their fast food products. They also did merch like these cup toppers that were sold separately. That is a little bit creepy, that is not finger licking good. Pepsi signed a $2 billion promotional tie-in with special editions for the brand new Star Wars film. This multi-year alliance set to be the biggest in entertainment history back in the 90s. Which even triumphed over Coca-Cola's deal with the 1996 Olympic Games at Atlanta, spending a whopping $40 million. So this deal between Pepsi and Star Wars was crazy. It felt like Pepsi changed their whole brand to accommodate for their brand new deal with Star Wars. Every bottle, every can, every poster, every advertisement was advertising the brand new Star Wars film. Pepsi went on to release 24 collectible cans that featured characters unique to the movie. There was also promotion going on that if you found this golden Yoda can, you could win a prize. What prize, you might ask? Well, the answer to that is just a smooth $20 note. Everybody stay calm. Pepsi also made a character named Lump that was exclusive for this campaign. They utilised this abomination for all their ads they were going to do for Phantom Menace. Like, for example, when he was trying to rizz up this human lady by showing off all 24 cans he collected through Pepsi.
This is the weirdest date I've ever been on. I'm out of here.
Go you must.
Farewell.
Obviously the way to a woman's heart, of course. I could go on days about the weird merch they made for this movie, but I'm just going to highlight some of my personal favourites. We have a Darth Maul Rubik's Cube, glow-in-the-dark mobile, Naboo Starfighter slippers, hot, an Anakin Skywalker greeting card that looks like he's just shat himself, a library bag, Jabba Glob, Jabba the Hutt is oozing with fun, an analog clock that you'll struggle to tell the time with, wrapping paper so you can pair it up with a Mum I Just Shat Myself Anakin greeting card. Or if that's not your taste, how about we opt in for a Queen Amidala bicycle? And while you're at it, get the official Jedi lightsaber bicycle pump. Pompeii, a bicycletto away! The Phantom Menace released in theatres on May 19th, 1999. This movie would go on to be the highest grossing movie of that year. With an original budget of around $115 million, the movie grossed around $924 million. So yeah, people were going absolutely bonkers for this shit, and I don't blame them. However, I understand that numbers don't always prove that a movie is any good. In fact, this movie was mixed reviewed, and in turn, merch sales were plummeting dramatically. There was too much product to meet what felt like little to no demand. And in no time, bargain bins in toy stores were overflowing with Star Wars Phantom Menace merch. That didn't matter to Georgie though, because his occupation was successful, he won. Star Wars The Phantom Menace made $2 billion in and around the lead up of the release of the film.
Now that's a lot of guacamole.
Thank you for watching everyone, I hope you all enjoyed it. Bye. What?